Time to start your life the way it is meant to be. There's only one time when it will be too late, and you don't want to wait for that. This is Now or Never. The choice is yours. Your host is Karen Wright. Today, you're about to meet some amazing people. The stories are not always happy ones, but they define a healing process. Listen with an open mind and an open heart. Now, here is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome to the show today. We have a wonderful guest, Kim Kleeman. How are you doing today?
Oh, I am so great, Karen. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you for being on the show. It's always so fun because it's like it's a little panicking right at the beginning because we have glitches with computer and technology and everything like that, but it all works out. So we're all good.
I'm so excited. Thank you yes, we have to just adapt and be flexible as we move forward in this virtual world.
Yes, we do. And you did a great job at it. So thank you. Listeners, today's show is about pivoting up as you leap into your next season. What does it mean to pivot up? How can you embrace the ideas as you push past your fears and leap forward into your next season of growth? Today, I will talk with speaker and business coach Kim Kleeman about these ideas and more as we explore the ways that partnerships and networking with others can help you expand your influence and build success into your next season. So Kim, I am so excited for you to be here, and for this topic today is actually one that I'm in need of. So this is going to be great.
Wonderful. Well, then I hope that you and your audience get a lot of value today.
Oh, exactly. As we begin each show, I always like to take some time just to ground. So I invite my guests always to close your eyes and ground with us as we inhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Inhale again through the nose, allowing that breath to penetrate throughout the entire body. And exhale. And now take your hands and wrap them up around your shoulder like you're giving yourself a big hug. Take another deep breath in and release. And this time I want you to repeat 3 times, I am worthy of my love. To yourself or out loud. I am worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love. I am worthy of my love. Take another deep breath in, feeling those words, knowing and owning them. And release. And then tapping 3 times on your chest, repeating the word accept 3 times. Accept, accept, accept. One more deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Listeners, as we take this time in our busy schedule to breathe deep, to allow the breath of life to enter into our souls, to our bodies, I hope at this time that you're present and that you're in the now, you're in the being with us as we begin our program today with Kim Kleeman. Each show, I always start out with an affirmation, Kim, and I always invite my guests as they read the affirmation to share with the guests, the listeners, what came to your mind as I read this affirmation. I never look at the affirmation until I read it to you.
Okay.
So it's a surprise for both of us.
Wonderful. I love when the universe sends us messages this way.
Right? This is okay. So here we go. The affirmation is, I am healed and whole.
Ooh.
I am healed and whole.
So that is really interesting because I am not perfect. There, I said it out loud and to the world, right? And one of the things that I have tried to teach people, either as a mother, as a boss, as a colleague, is that we all make mistakes and that's how we learn. And so healing yourself from those past mistakes, not beating yourself up, is so important. And I try really hard to do that. It doesn't mean that I don't get scared still, but I do push past the fear, knowing that, I want to reach those goals. And that's what makes me whole. Is everybody has their own definition of authentic success. And feeling whole means that you're feeling successful, whatever that means for you. For me.
Yes, no, those words are very powerful. I am healed and whole. And the whole, I think, sometimes is hard for all of us, because I think there's times where we're feeling more holier than others, meaning we feel more in control or grounded or all in one, in alignment. And then there's other days where you're like a puzzle piece just going, oh my God. And I think that's the joy of life, right? That's what keeps us going and motivating us. And at the end of the day, though, your words are true. So listeners, write down, I am healed and whole. Put it on your sticky note, put it on your mirror, because this is something, you are healed and whole no matter what your day looks like. Just always do your best, because it's going to fluctuate every single day. Every minute of the day, it fluctuates, right? And that's the beauty of it.
Oh yeah, because if you have children, especially teenagers, they will remind you that you're not the perfect human being. And so you might go through and have the best business meeting of your life, and then a fight with your teenager, and then a romantic dinner out with your significant other. And, all of those different things that happen during your days, feeling whole and knowing that you are worthy of those things, I think is an internal compass we constantly have to make sure is on course.
Exactly. I love that word, internal compass. It's a compass, right? We're always pivoting, and it goes along with our topic today on pivoting, learning to pivot throughout. Kim, I'd like to read a little bit of your bio and introduce you to our listeners today. You're a powerhouse. I love this. As a speaker and business coach, Kim specializes in creating vision, leadership, and growth with companies with her Accelerated Successful program, helping companies from pre-funding to 150 million organizations. Kim has launched various brands, products, and organizations with her growth-oriented clients. Kim understands how to accelerate businesses and leaders, focused on growing, scaling, and accelerating successful. Kim often finds herself in the middle of some interesting deals. She looks for leaders who want to achieve growth and still live in the life they love. I love that last part, because there's a balance, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And for many of us, the fantasy of starting a business is about certain things that we don't have when we're in a job. Freedom, flexibility, the choice to choose your clients or the people you work with. There's a lot of really great things about getting out there and designing the life you love. So I'm very fortunate that I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. And when I got out of college and became a high school English teacher and started having kids, I looked around like, how does anybody buy a house? How do you make money? Like, I was making very little amount of money, right? And my parents were like, you have these skills. You can take your skills and design a business or create the life you want and earn the money you need. And that sounds like a get rich quick scheme. It's not. It's really about understanding your purpose in the world and then building a business around that. And I think that's one of the ways that I've been able to help my clients. But my parents gave me this gift, and my siblings all live this life, which is to design it the way we want to live and then build a business for that.
Your parents are very knowledgeable, wise people.
I'm sure that they made a lot of mistakes too along the way, but they did not go to college. They instead bought into the bakery business at 21 years old and worked really hard and raised 5 kids, put them through private schools, put them through college, all the things. And
Mhm.
a lot of that was hustle and hard work, but also it is really about learning from your past and then putting those skills into play so that when you do pivot, which we're talking about today, you're actually pivoting up. And that's a big part of what I love is not just making a change in your life, but making a change for the better.
I love that you talk about pivoting up instead of just pivoting from side to side. Because a lot of times when people think pivot, okay, well, we'll move from, in basketball, you're pivoting, you're keeping one foot
Right.
down, you're going in circles, but you can't lift that foot up, right?
If we were in person, I would do a lot of body movement to show you. As my husband, the basketball coach, he coaches girls basketball high school, and pivoting is meant to get you out of a trap. And if anything's happened in the past year, is that we all have fallen into a dead end, a trap, something that's been tough for us. And so learning how to pivot on one foot and get out of a trap is one skill.
Mhm.
Learning how to remove yourself out of that trap and then get yourself to a better place is an advanced skill. And a lot of what we need to do in order to pivot up is to be aware and practice that. So when the moment happens, we aren't stale at it, or it's not difficult for us to actually make that change. I think
Mhm.
that's one of the hardest things is people just get stuck in their ways, and then making a change is just so tough.
It really is. And I think the ego has a lot to do with it.
Yes, but if you practice pivoting up and you make it part of your life, and there's really small ways to do this that we can share, okay?
Okay.
But if you make it part of your life, then when those bigger changes need to be made, maybe you need to leave a relationship, you need to end a partnership, you need to leave your job, you need those big events that are life changing for us. They aren't quite so anxiety filled because we're used to making change. And so we know what tools we need to put into play to do that. And that's why practicing is so important.
So, can you advise our listeners maybe some of these tools to help them?
Yeah.
Okay, I would
All
love
right. So the very first one is something that you might already be doing, but it's being very cognizant of it, which is that you have to go out and take a small risk every day. Every
Mhm.
day. Okay. So if you're a runner or a walker, take a new route. If you are going to the Starbucks drive-through, try something off the menu you've never tried before. Okay. What happens to us biologically, psychologically, is that we aren't stuck in a rut. And that allows for us to try new things all the time. And then you strike out further. You might travel to somewhere you don't know, you've never been to. You might immerse yourself in a place where language isn't yours and you have to figure out how to get around. You have to put yourself into new dynamic situations in order for you to feel confident that you can figure things out when you are put in those positions. And if you feel anxiety around that, that's fair. I mean, it's real,
Mhm.
it's true. The goal is that you are practicing with small things so then when those bigger ones come up, you aren't overwhelmed by it. So that's number one. Number two is you have to build your support system. And that is my favorite quote is leap and the net will appear. And that net is really your support system. So if you don't have people who believe in you, then you really need to make sure that you start to surround yourself by people who believe in you. That
Mm.
might be other entrepreneurs. It might be other moms. It might be people who are thinking positively instead of negatively. It might be people who are cheering you on and just want what's best for you. But it's really important that you learn some of those. So those are two great tips right there that are small and doable for anybody at any level to just try and start to pivot and practice that in a way that's meaningful.
I appreciate that, especially the small, well, both of them, but the small risk every day, because I think you get in the rut. Like we go to work out to the gym, we take the same route every day. And I was just talking about this, I don't know, last month with someone. It's like, okay, we get in those ruts. Let's try going a different way to the gym. So you see new things. And when you said small risk, I'm like, okay, that is kind of small risk because it's not the norm. It's out of your normal schedule. You're still going to the gym to work out, but you're doing something totally different. Or you stop on the way home at a new coffee shop, like you said, or get a milkshake or do something instead of the norm rushing back home to do the next thing. So I think that's something, listeners, you can really dive into this. These are easy steps. And I appreciate Kim just making it so basic. So you take the small risks so you feel confident in new things. So when the bigger things happen, like you said, Kim, you're not so overwhelmed. There will be probably a little bit of it.
Yeah. But then when you walk into a situation and it's unexpected, and maybe it's that somebody shows up differently than you thought they were going to, or a conversation goes awry, you're used to adapting and being flexible. And so that gives you the opportunity to just step back. And I know you know this, Karen, we get blindsided by things all the time. People cancel, they show up late for shows, whatever it might be. But we have to stay flexible and adaptable. And that allows then for us to handle situations better, which I think is the other part of pivoting, is how you react to the drama. You know, you can say, oh, you know, the sky's falling, or you could think about the fact that you have seen this before and you know how to react. Those are two very different ways to handle situations.
Yeah, fight or flight, right?
Yep. I always say fight. No.
Fight it off. We can do this. I love that. And then building your support system. I think a lot with COVID and things that have happened, I've noticed even with my personal life, I'm in my condo with my 2 dogs and I don't have, except for Zoom call, a lot of interaction with outside people. Your friends that you've been with, you know, they're still cautious with everything with COVID, which is normal. In fact, today I was thinking, okay, my goal is to get out once a day doing something. I mean, I'm out in the mornings working out, hiking my dogs, but during the day, whether it's running errands or doing something simple like that, calling a friend, going to lunch, like making myself accessible again to friends.
And reconnecting. Because one thing that's been really hard is we've had a year of like a vacuum. So, you know, we're not really sure where everybody is. We're not really sure how everybody's doing. Reconnecting does a whole bunch of things. It does good things for you, and it does great things for the people you connect with. And radiating that adventurous spirit of like, I'm out here taking new risks, I think is a big part of it that attracts people to you.
Yes, I agree with that. Listeners, stay tuned. We've been listening with Kim Kleeman, and her 2 pivot points are taking small risks and build your support system. And stay tuned because when we come back, we're going to learn some more little pointers from Kim. We'll be right back after this break.
All right, perfect. All clear.
Okay, thanks. Good job, Kim. I love those points.
Thanks.
Yeah, those are like, it's funny because seriously, this morning I was getting something out of the garage and I'm like, okay, Karen, you got to start getting out in the world again.
It's really hard and you get out of practice. And then you go to the grocery store. My son, who has a lot of social anxiety, I just started taking him to the grocery store. I said, the grocery store is a million awkward encounters. Everybody is awkward. You're running into people. You're trying to get out of people's way. You're asking for things. You're looking for things. And I said, it's the best way to just remind yourself that being out in the world feels awkward sometimes, you know? Yeah. So that's good. I'm glad that you're committing to getting out. That's important.
Yeah. I mean, I go to the gym, but you just get focused doing your thing. I did sign up to go with people like that work out every like a class thing.
Oh yeah.
So I went back to that because it was canceled, you know, because of COVID. Now they're starting it back up and it's close again. So I'm like going, okay. So I went this week. I can't even walk. I'm so sore, Kim.
Oh my God, I know, me too. I did a couple of those classes too before they closed back down. And I literally was like, what is wrong with me? Oh yeah, it's been a while. Oh.
I know last night I went to bed like at 10 because I had class today at 5:30. I'm going to go to bed at 10. I tossed and turned like it hurt to lay down on my bed. At 3:30, I'm still looking at my clock going, I haven't gone to sleep yet.
That's crazy.
And needless to say, I slept through my alarm when it went off at 5. I called my instructor, sorry.
Not today.
I did go out and hike the dogs though. So I did get out, breathe in the fresh air, but I'm like,
that is good. Yeah.
It is crazy. Oh, I love that.
20 seconds.
Okay, thank you. So we'll have one more break after this one.
Okay, great.
So you know.
Thank you.
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is Karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back to the show. Now or Never, the choice is yours. And thank you for choosing now to be with us during the next, 40 minutes left of the show. We have a wonderful guest with us, Kim Kleeman. She is a powerhouse. I said that at the beginning of the show. I just love her. Listeners, I want to remind you that I have my Diamond Ignite Now or Never retreat coming up in Park City, October 7th through the 10th. You can go online to my website, shinenowornever.com, and click on the retreat page and go in and sign up. It's happening. It's right around the corner. It's going to be fabulous. So we're excited about that. So Kim, before break, we were talking about pivots and pivoting up, getting out of the trap, because we talked about pivot, just going like basketball around and around, and you're in that trap, but you're moving around, right? And then getting out of that trap is when you pivot up. And you gave us 2 steps, taking small risks every day, which can be like trying a new item at Starbucks, or going a different route to your workout class. And then the second thing you gave us was to build your support system. And the support system to me is really important right now with COVID, and everyone's starting to go out, and then now we're like, now you got to go back in the house. And this and that. And thank goodness for Zoom, and thank goodness for, being able to see people at least. Technology has been so helpful with that. But I know you talk a little bit about networking as part of the growth with business and things like that. And maybe I'm jumping the gun here. Maybe we should talk about the importance of power partnerships and growing your business. Which way do you want to go first?
Well, I think that those correlate together, because ultimately building that support system means that when you need something, you can ask for it. And that's in your personal life, that you have your girlfriend network, you have your family network, you have your childcare network, you have all those different pieces. But in your business life, one of the things that's the hardest for salespeople, business developers, CEOs, is that they wonder where they can find opportunity. They wonder where they can develop those referral channels that, very, very successful people already have in place. Like, they don't have to go out and beg for business because their friend Joe just calls them and says, I got something for you, right? So how do you build that? Well, 2 things. One is that you need to be out there telling people what you do and asking for the business. So if you don't ask for the business, people aren't going to give it to you. And that's one of the hardest things for people, is that they don't want to be salesy. They don't want to be, a used car salesperson. But the ultimate beauty of developing your own sales process out there and networking is you can make it however you want. You can invite them to an event, which then if people are interested, they can step forward. You could put a freebie out there of value and offer that to people, an ebook or a white paper, and let people download that and opt in. So there's a lot of ways that making connections and networking isn't about you being salesy. It's really about you putting what your skills are out in the world and looking to see who needs you. Because the truth is, many of us are solving a problem. I mean, Karen, you're putting this show on, and this is solving a problem for people. They're listening in. They're asking themselves, what are they waiting for? They're looking within. They're trying to find the strength, the empowerment aspect of what they're doing. And the truth is that if you surround yourself with great people, they're going to remind you of that. And today you gave me an affirmation that I wasn't expecting, and that was pretty cool. So the power partnerships is a deeper piece of this. And in the networking group that I started called the Inner Circle with my sister, which is fun, we basically believe that power partnerships are a two-way street. And you need to develop these in order to find channels that bring you opportunity over and over again. Okay. So for instance, if you were a retail store, location is everything because you need to be on Main Street, and that's going to bring you foot traffic. If you are running a professional services business or you're online, then what you need to do is you need to partner with other people and find ways to get your offer out there in a way that buyers want to buy. So if you only offer social media, but a company needs the entire marketing, then what happens is that you might get passed by because they're looking for everything. But if you were to partner with somebody else who does graphic design and somebody else who does websites, and you were the social media, now the three of you could partner up and go into a business and say, we offer a comprehensive marketing package. Everybody makes money. Everybody gets to do what they're good at. And you figure out ways to develop those power partnerships. So I define that as that both people have to be getting some sort of positive, payout on that, whether it's more leads, maybe it's connections, maybe it's more friends, maybe it's opening up a new networking channel, something that allows for you to go do what you do best. So Karen, when I met you, we had such a great conversation that immediately I thought of like 3 or 4 people that you needed to meet, right?
Right.
So part of the power of my network is that I immediately am able now, after all this time and all the networking, to strategically connect you with the right people. I'm not introducing you to the garage door salesperson who isn't going to have a place in the show or be able to have a conversation because they need local business. They don't need national or global business. And so that power partnership doesn't match up. But if I was to put you, in touch with another person who believes in the power of, putting out what you want out in the world, and then you're going to get it back, then suddenly the two of you are starting to strategize on how to do that together.
Right.
That's the power of partnerships. And you can do this as a solopreneur. You can do this as just, a mom out there figuring it out, or a dad out there figuring it out. You can make power partnerships. It might be babysitting. It might be dog walking services. It might be checking in on each other, well-being checks when you're alone. Those power partnerships are just ways for you to take care of each other. And that's really what it's about.
I love that you say that. It's ways to take care of each other. Yeah. And to me, that's what, I love to give. I was talking to Sarah Victory yesterday, and we were talking about, Sarah, and she's so funny because she's like, Karen, you just give. And I'm like, I know, I just love to. And she goes, well, it's about time you start receiving.
Yes.
And so it was kind of like, okay, but it was listening it from someone else telling you, Kim, you need to start receiving. Yes. You give all the time. You have all of this. And right now, the power of partnership, that's what it is. It's a give and take for both partners. Everyone's benefiting, everyone's giving, because people feel good to give.
Yes.
People want to be of service. I love to help people. How can I help you? And I know my goal is to reach out more and ask people, how can I help? What do you need from me?
Right. And that is wonderful. But you need to have the yin and yang here. You need to have that you fill your cup too. And if you don't have people in your life and you're a giver, if you don't have people in your life who say, hey, you haven't taken care of yourself in a while, how about we go out and get a pedicure? How about we go for a drink? How about we do this? If you don't have those people in your life, give depletes you down, and you aren't able to actually give all your gifts out to the world because you aren't replenishing your own cup. And so the give and take is imperative for you to be able to have the long game of being a giver. And that's what I learned was if I'm going to be a mom of 3 and I'm going to be a business owner and I'm going to help people, then who helps me? And that may be anything from the cleaning service that I hire so that I can spend more time with my kids at their soccer games, all the way to, my partner in life, my husband, understanding that just because I might work remotely and he's in the office all day, that doesn't mean that I take on 100% of the family load. So all of those things, the give and take becomes such an important part. It's not selfish. It's actually selfless to be thinking about the way that you fill your own cup. It is for the long game.
And I love that. I mean, we're taught even in the Bible, is your cup half full or half empty? The virgin, I just went blank, the story about the bridesmaids, they're filling the oils.
Yes.
It's like, and to me, that's what that whole story is about.
Yes.
Is making sure your cup is full so you can give to other people your gift to the married couple, whatever. Anyway, that's my interpretation of the Bible.
God's gifts there, right? The gifts that we are given are not meant to be kept to ourselves. I mean, if we are truly living a life of service, then we are utilizing our gifts, and you are using your gifts of voice and intuition to be able to have these conversations that, are aha moments for people. And my gift is being able to say to people, okay, you've made $45,000 a year for 10 years. How about we try to do something different here? And let me give you some ideas of ways for you to grow. And typically it's not that I'm thinking of anything new. It's that I'm putting it in context to a way that will help somebody to actually implement that in their life.
And I think that your gift right there, helping you see it and you can relate it to different, where I'm more like, I have all these great ideas, but it's honing in and, doing your steps and doing your spreadsheets and seeing the numbers and all that. And that stuff excites me. Like when I do my, expenses and things like that, it's like, oh my gosh, I love to see the numbers and everything like that. But having someone to walk you through it. So because COVID and a lot of people, lost jobs, had, things shut down, and people are, I think, trying to get back into the world again, trying to find jobs again that will fit their, lifestyle now. I think people are enjoying being home with a little bit more freedom and things like that. So I know we're all different, but let's just, come up with somebody, like someone off the top of your head, someone, we don't name them, whatever. How did you help that certain person during this time?
Sure.
Coming up out of the business or starting a new business, and maybe like a couple of steps it went through. And I know we only went through 2 of your pivoting up steps, and maybe this will come into play, the next steps.
Yes. So this is a great question because typically people will tell me what their challenge is, and it falls into a few different buckets around business. It's that you can't get enough sales. You're overwhelmed and you aren't servicing your clients the right way. You want to grow more and you just don't know how to hire people underneath you. One example over this last year that was really interesting is that a lot of industries dried up immediately. So travel, right? Hotels, but a lot of ancillary cottage industries, they just weren't working anymore if you weren't doing in-person events or things like that. Typically, what I do when I work with somebody is first take a look at all their skills. We do a skills inventory. And I recommend this to anybody. Just take a piece of paper and write down, but you have to think of every job you've ever held, every role you've ever played, because people forget what they did before. And so the role you're in now might be that you're a teacher and you need to, leave teaching because it's not for you or whatever. But maybe before you were an HR executive, or maybe before that you were a waitress, or maybe before that you were a singer. What are the skills that you've used over time? And then what I like to do is have people go through and put an X next to the ones that they don't like to do. Like you might be really good at something, but you don't like to do it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm good at cooking. I do not like to cook. Then I like go have people go through and circle the things they do like to do. And that is where we start to build the life that they love. Like, how do you build a business and make money out of doing the things you actually like to do? How do you delegate the other things? So to your point, you might have to start over. You might have to pivot a little bit. Our goal is to take a look at your skills and then find a way to go into another industry. So I was working with a recruiter. There was no hiring during COVID, but we looked at the team and we saw that the same skills could go find leads for people. So we basically created a sales automation process that allowed for this entrepreneur to use her same team, keep everybody working, but go out and sell something completely new. And even though it was a little uncomfortable, it ended up being the thing that people needed because everybody wanted to know how to get sales on the internet. We weren't going out to all of our events or doing it the regular way anymore. So I think that's a good example of something that I have counseled people through as they try to grow and pivot at the same time. Almost every industry has changed. Restaurants are a good example. Curbside pickup, I hope it never goes away. Boy, oh boy. I wish that was there when I had young kids and I, didn't want to leave them in the car, but I had to run in and get dinner and there were no drive-throughs. And now we got it. It's not going
Right.
to go away, right? So how do we capitalize on those things that we've changed and continue to progress forward? So I think that's my biggest tip is know how to translate your skills.
I think that's really important too. I'm taking notes, as you can tell when I'm over here. I'm writing down. I'm not ignoring you, but I'm like writing down, going, I'm going to do a skills inventory, because I think that's I think we all need to have a time where we just kind of check in. Where are we at? What are we doing? What's our next step? How are we going to do things? And it's being aware.
Yes. It's being aware and it's being focused. I mean, the other thing that I really tell people is pick one goal. For 15 days, try to go after that one goal. If that's to close a client, if that's to try to get your social media up and running, if it means that you're looking for a new job, but it's a completely different industry. But there's great ways to just focus for 15 days on one goal. You will be amazed at how much you get done if you actually do that.
I think that's really important too, because so often I'm a list person, right?
Me too.
List. I love crossing them off.
Oh, me too. I use a flare pen. I love just colors, get it down off my list. But those lists get overwhelming, right? Lists of lists and lists of your other lists. And so sometimes I call it the dotted line to the dollar sign. If you're feeling overwhelmed, just take a moment. What's actually going to make you money today as a business owner? What's the one thing you could do that's going to get you closer to that?
Listeners, write that down. I love that. What takes you from the dotted line to the dollar sign? Did I say that right?
Because you've got that big list and you're looking at it, right? But what is the one that actually makes you money? The rest of it is all on the to-do list and needs to be done. But truly, when you're feeling that desperation or you're feeling that overwhelm, is just find the dotted line to the dollar sign and just follow it.
It's interesting when you say that. I'm thinking to myself, usually that dotted line is the scary one.
Yes, it is.
The uncomfortable one.
Yes.
So listeners, as we go into break, what is that dotted line that makes the dollar sign for you? What is that one goal that might be a little bit uncomfortable? Write it down, look at it, and set your goal for the next 15 days. That's what's going to bring in the money. That's really what's going to make you feel good, is doing that and not allowing the little things get in your way. Listeners, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break with Kim Kleeman.
Okay, great. All clear. Back in about 2.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
I love that saying, Kim.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of those things where people just are like, I don't know what to do first. And I'm like, well, what makes money? Like, let's keep sales at the forefront always.
Yeah. And I think sales is the heart. With real estate, we go and we look at homes, the buyers like it. It's their choice, but we do all the paperwork with it, all that, we do the negotiation. I love that kind of stuff. That it just enthralls me. And real estate is so like, it's like slow, and all of a sudden everything has to happen at once. You got to get all the thought, and then it's slow again. And it's like, and I love that.
You
Some
like
people
the
are like,
adrenaline rush of it. Yeah. The feast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that. And then, you know, people look at me, how do you not like get stressed or whatever? I'm like, no, because I don't look at it that way.
Right. It's controlled chaos in real estate is what I like to think of it as.
Chaos, yeah. You know, but at the end of the day, you're on the same team. From
Right.
my agent to the, you know, seller, listing agent to a buyer agent, we're on the same team.
Exactly.
We're here to close and make both parties happy, you know,
and make dreams come true.
Yes, because it's so important. I love watching my you know, clients are so happy about the house and all these ideas and furniture, what the hell they're going to furnish it and all this kind of stuff. I love that stuff.
I know, because you get stuck right in that dreaming part where people are dreaming about the future. And that's really what my favorite place to be too, is people who are really excited and visioning out what, you know, how they can make the life that they want.
And it's scary.
Yes.
You know, it's new home buyers, or even if you bought a home and now you're buying a second home, it's still scary because you're like, this is something I've never done before.
Yeah.
And so it's always taking, you know, that's a risk, you know, the small risk you're talking about is like, that's a risk a little bit bigger financially risk, but it's the risk that you do. Dotted line to this dollar sign.
Yeah. The smaller risks lead to being able to take those bigger risks. And so that's something, if you have fearful clients, it's really great for you to just be like, do something different, drive around to a new neighborhood, you know, try something different, because ultimately it gets them off their position and they start to be more open to ideas.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in, but we were just about to come back.
Okay. Thanks. I'm like, oh, I forget.
You are listening to Now or Never. The choice is yours. To connect with the program today, please call us at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is Karen@shinenowornever.com. Let's get back to this week's show. Here again is Karen Wright.
Listeners, welcome back. We have been speaking with Kim Kleeman, and I'm over here just taking notes during break. I'm like we're talking about real estate and like the risks that people are taking and dotted line to the dollar sign. I'm like, listeners, write that down. And I was telling Kim, I'm like, that's usually the hardest one to do.
Yes. It's the most uncomfortable, because typically it means we have to take a risk. We have to put ourselves out there. We have to make a decision that is going to either somewhere down the line be good or bad, a decision for us. But look, I'm not one that looks back at things with regrets. I feel like the universe leads us to the right places. And as long as we are sure of what we want and what we need out of it, it should work out to our advantage, even if there's wrinkles along the way. Like I look at it as obstacles and opportunity, and they're really the same kind of thing. Obstacles are things we have to work around, but many times they provide us with opportunities that we've never thought about before. Opportunities are kind of like the shiny object syndrome for CEOs. We always are looking for opportunity, but it may take us off of our path. And so you need to evaluate opportunities the right way. And so I tell people often, it's like the 1-2 punch. You could have an opportunity and an obstacle, and both of those you have to work through at the same time.
That's very true. I love the obstacle and the opportunities. Things are just clicking for me today. Listeners, I hope they're clicking for you and that you're taking note here, because Kim, this is valuable information that you're sharing with our listeners. And I feel honored and blessed just to have you on my show. I love my guests. All of you guys are amazing, and you just do a wonderful job connecting. I've been told, you know, for me doing this whole show thing, it was, well, Karen, what do you find intriguing? What do you want to learn? Ask those questions, and then the listeners, they're going to tune right in, you know? And so that's why I'm like asking you these questions, because I'm like, it's so intrigued. I'm like, I want to know, because you are amazing. I mean, there's a lot that I didn't read about in your bio. You know, you started the RE Tech Accelerator, sold to NAR as a successful exit. Like, tell just a little bit about some of the grand things that you've done, so my listeners can see the skill and the expert that you are,
Sure.
because you are an expert.
Oh, thank you. All right, I'll give you the highlight tour.
Okay.
I started my first business when I realized I really wanted to buy a house and be a mom and all those things. And I wanted more flexibility. My first business, I grew over 800% in 3 years. I was just growing for growth's sake. I was building teams. I didn't really understand all of that. But that hyper growth allowed for me to make the Inc. 500 list. I was number 37. Number 5 in education. The Crane Chicago has the Crane's 40 under 40 list. That's a really big list here in Chicago. And as you know, that's a big market. So I was nominated and I was really surprised to be chosen. And it's been a great little club. So a lot of that has happened. And over time, I pivoted to marketing and digital marketing, working with Oprah's Network and Discovery Channel. And then finally, I started doing marketing for other companies. But I really love building businesses. So what I've combined, and I did it with a tech accelerator first, is let me help you brand this, but then let me help you build this business. And so that's been a fun way. When you said in the beginning of my bio that I like to work on a lot of interesting projects and things, because I'm looking for those challenges and to help scale it up. So tech was a great way. You know, you get your funding, you need to scale your business quickly. And so my older brother and his company, Elmdale Partners, which is a wonderful real estate company here in Chicago, they put the money forward to start building out a tech accelerator that was real estate focused. So I got to be part of that ride. I got to be on the board. I got to teach startups how to grow and scale. And that's really where my coaching practice came out of, was how do I help smaller businesses grow to the next level? And I was calling it pivot up for a long time, but when the economy was great, pivoting up, everybody was like, I'm good. But accelerating successfully is what we're all really looking for, is authentic success, what that means to us. And Karen, that may mean something totally different to you than your listeners. So you really need to know and be plugged into what it is that you define as successful. For me, winning some of those awards was great, but what I really loved was that it was highlighting the fact that way back when, before any of us worked remotely, I was winning awards for building out things for working parents, you know, working parents' offices, working remotely 1 day a week. Those were the things that were being recognized, which today our world is turned upside down on that.
Right.
So that's where innovation comes in, is really looking at the scenario and figuring out ways to solve problems for people.
See, and I love that because you're creative and you can think, you have that mind that will do that. And that's a talent, because not everyone's like, we're all different and authentic in what we do. And so that's amazing. I would love this time, if you would share with the listeners how they can get a hold of you, things like that, because it's so important. I just always invite my listeners, reach out to my guests. These people are amazing. And it's like Zoom call. You call them up. You don't have to go travel to Chicago. I'm in Utah. Kim's in Chicago, but here we are together. So if you would share with everyone, I would love that.
That is great. So you can find me you can email me at kim.kleeman@acceleratesuccessfully.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. That's an easy one. You can go to our networking website, oinnerO.com, which is the Inner Circle, which is a great way to come to a free event and get a little bit more Kim time, start to meet some of the people that I surround myself with, people like Sarah Victory, people like you, lots of really warm spirits, but also people who want to do good business together. And then I have online groups and do virtual coaching. So if anybody ever wants to check that out, or find out more about my programs, they can just feel free to reach out and I'll send them that information.
I appreciate that. In fact, I was going to say, okay, let's see. If I'm the guinea pig here, how would you help me promote my business?
Oh, yes. Well, first, I would look at your strengths and I would build off of that. And you have such a wonderful energy. And so here's, a couple tips for you. One is that you continue to ask your favorite guests for more favorite guests. And I think you're already doing that. But if you are in business, ask the ideal clients that you have how you can find more like them. That's the secret. Okay. Is that
Okay.
you don't need to reinvent the wheel. So if you say to me, Kim, do you know some great people? Then I introduce you to great people. And those
Which
great
you
people,
have.
right?
Yeah.
So that's number one, is that's easy promotion. Okay. That's word of mouth. Second is that you find people that are at the same level of you or above you, and you try to leverage what they're building. So you and I can leverage each other's marketing channels. We have social media, we have brands. And so co-marketing is a great power partnership idea, because you can co-market together and you can collaborate. You can bring your ideas. You can both make money. So I think that's a second tip. And then my third tip is keep doing what you're doing, Karen, because the thing about putting content out there in the world is that at some point it just hockey sticks, exponentially grows, but you have to get the content out there consistently. And you have to keep that internal compass strong so that people understand what you're giving out to the world, and then they'll start coming to you. So that's really what I would say that you could do. Of course, you and I could get into Facebook ads and SEO and all of that. But the truth is, if you're the right energy in your brand, it's going to attract the right people.
Yeah. No, I appreciate those words. Listeners, so take a time. What are your strengths? Why do people like you? What's that energy that you put out there? And sometimes it's hard to look into ourselves. So that's why I ask him, like, sometimes it's like, I just want to hear someone say something about me.
Yeah. And I'll tell you the truth. I've texted or emailed my clients and said, why do you like working with me?
Yeah.
And that's not a needy statement. That's feedback.
It is feedback. And feedback is so important. Yeah.
It is. And then you find out you always get things done. You follow through. You say what you're going to do. These are the things that people value. And so it's really important that you hear that feedback for yourself, because that's the tape you'll play later on.
Yeah.
Those affirmations.
And I think that's really important with anything in sales, whatever your sales or in your business, is getting feedback from your clients. I get feedback like when I wrote my book, the reviews, what people said on Amazon. I go through and see what people are reading and what they're saying. And I'm like, oh my gosh, those are some good points. And maybe for my next book, I'll do X, Y, Z with my clients for real estate. So it doesn't matter which industry you're at. Feedback is always good.
Yeah.
Feedback to me is very important. And I'm glad you brought that up, Kim. I really appreciate that advice, because, at the end of the day, that's what's going to make you a better person, is knowing how you can improve.
Yep.
And knowing what you're good at. And so it's like, we always want to improve on our weaknesses or strength, or, the things that we're not as strong in. And when people say, hey, you need to do better in communicating, then you're like, okay, I can do this. What's some ideas? And listen to what they have to say. That's part of communicating, right? Communication is listening, not you have two ears for a reason, one mouth for a reason.
I like that. Well, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be coachable, right? There is plenty of content out there in the world, but you have to be open to learning and adjusting and changing. And that's where pivoting up just gets to be right down at the core of who we are and what we do. We have to be able to take feedback, incorporate it into our lives, change according to what the market is telling us. And that might be anything from the person you're dating, and an annoying habit that you didn't know you had, all the way to something that's happening in a customer service function within your company. Getting a customer feedback loop, or just a feedback loop in your life, and staying humble to that, is part of the way that you'll continue to grow and reach your goals. If you aren't open to that, you're going to get stuck.
So we're almost ready to close. Could you, Kim, share with the listeners, you've given us so many good one-liners, things to think about, but one word of advice, what would you tell the listeners, as the next season in pivoting, what they could do, or thoughts, or...
Yep. Okay. Here it is. And this is right up Karen's alley, I think. Listeners, set up an affirmation routine. And what I mean is that you have to feel good about yourself for any of this magic to happen. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have confidence. And we don't all feel that every day. So if it's in the morning or it's at night, getting your mantras and your affirmations in place, finding ways that feel good. For me, it's a gratitude journal. Psychologically and scientifically, we know that that resets our brain from negative to positive, but also it just reminds me that, you know, I might wake up on the wrong side of the bed, but all is good in the world. And there are good people. Yeah.
Yes. So listeners, remember, set up an affirmation routine. Ours today was I'm healed and love. Thank you for being with us. The breath is a gift of life. Choose now and live. Remember, this world is not for sissies. We are here to experience our own story as we each walk our personal journeys. Have an amazing day, and thank you for choosing to be here now. Until next week, sending you all love and light.
All right, perfect. Great job today. All clear.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you so much.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Kim, you're just a powerhouse. I just love speaking with you and having you on. And
thank you.
Like
anything I can do to help you, let me know.
I know I think we need to set up a time because I have some things I want to talk to you about.
Great.
That would be great. So
yeah, I'll reach out.
Okay, that'll be good.
Awesome. Thanks, Karen. It was so good
again.
to talk.
Okay. Bye-bye.